Why does your nose get stuffy one nostril at a time? Well, it's because your nostrils split their workload. Throughout the day, they each take breaks in a process of alternating congestion and decongestion called the nasal cycle. At a given moment, if you're breathing through your nose, the lion's share of the air is going in and out of one nostril, with a much smaller amount passing through the other. Every few hours, your autonomic nervous system, which takes care of your heart, digestion, and other things you don't consciously control, switches things up and your other nostril does all the heavy lifting for a little while. There are at least two good reasons why nasal cycling happens. One, it makes our sense of smell more complete. Different scent molecules degrade at different rates, and our scent receptors pick up on them accordingly. Some smells are easier to detect and process in a fast-moving airstream, like the decongestion nostril, while others are better detected in the slower airstream of the congested nostril. Nasal cycling also seems to keep the nose maintained for its function as an air filter and humidifier. The alternating congestion gives the mucus and cilia, the tiny hairs up in your nose, in each nostril a well-deserved break from the onslaught of air and prevents the insides of your nostrils from drying out, cracking, and bleeding. Why was Benjamin Franklin's basement filled with skeletons? For nearly 2 decades leading up to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin lived in London in a house at 36 Craven Street. In 1776, Franklin left his English home to come to America. More than 200 years later, 15 bodies were found in the basement, buried in a secret, windowless room beneath the garden. From a 1 meter wide, 1 meter deep pit, over 1,200 pieces of bone were retrieved. Remnants of more than a dozen bodies. But when historians dug deeper into what was going on in the Franklin home during the years the bones dated back to, they discovered the real culprit behind the bones was one William Hewson, a young medical student who was a close friend of Franklin and had lived with him in London. In the 1700s, dissection of cadavers was illegal, thanks to a church-imposed taboo on exploring much of the human body, so he took matters into his own hands. He made the rounds of cadaver brokers and grave robbers who operated on a black market of sorts, and began conducting experiments on the cadavers to teach himself about the body. Historians discovered that the bodies had many precise cuts that matched those that medical instruments could make. The house was ideally situated down the street from a wharf from which bodies could be smuggled off ships under the cloak of night and deposited through the basement door a short walk away. Why have dolphins been trained to use in wars? Dolphins are known widely as adorable, intelligent animals. What is not as widely known is that these crafty creatures were used by the US and Soviet Union during the Vietnam War and Cold War. Both countries study the creatures for their sonar capabilities, but also train them to detect mines, bring equipment to divers, find lost equipment, and guard submarines amongst other nifty tricks. The dolphins could swim slowly, patrolling the area with their sonar, and alert armed trainer guards if they located swimmers. They are also trained to tag the enemy swimmer with a marker so that Navy personnel can apprehend him.